here. Before I start, I want to sort of have a disclaimer or a warning about the word that I'm going to use in my presentation. I'm going to use the word blockchain. When I say blockchain, most of you can feel some kind of fear or something that is negative, and in order to change it, I want to offer you an alternative of what to think about. And if you know the Big Friendly Giant, the book or the movie, if you have seen it, so every time I say blockchain, think about the Big Friendly Giant computer. This is what we are using. This is the reason we are actually working with blockchain. Has nothing to do with crypto or meme coins like Melanie and Trump. So just Big Friendly Giant computer. So what I'm going to talk about today is what we are in Cellact are actually doing with Kamailio. Especially I would focus on how we do the registration. We saw a few presentations here about the registration. How we do it with Arnacon, and some example for use cases. So Cellact is actually an MVNO in Israel, and one of the main products that we are actually selling is a secondary number application. It's an application that allows you to have more than a single number on your device, mostly voice over IP. And we are using Kamailio mostly as the user management side in order to communicate with the user agent, with the client. We, about 2 years ago, decided to do a spin-off that we are doing in Netherlands. I currently live in the Netherlands. And we have a team of developers that we are actually working on the next product, which is called Arnacon, which is extension of the knowledge and the experience we gained with the secondary number, but using different backend. We are not using the traditional backend. We are trying to move to a totally different backend. The Web3 telephony that we have tried to create actually came to replace the SS7 or the SIG1 protocol that exists for 40, 50 years and is the backbone of every GSM network. And what we are trying to do, we actually took the Web3 principles, the blockchain, and we tried to apply the rules of blockchain on the telephony. And what I want to tell you is what happened when we actually did that. So blockchain, just to be straight on what we are talking about, it's a huge computer. It actually consists of many nodes, many servers that are all over the world. It can be free servers, up to thousands of servers, but it behaves as a single entity. It's like a computer that has memory, it has CPU, and it has storage, which is very expensive. And if you want to understand why the storage is expensive, it's every megabyte that I actually write on one computer is being replicated to all the computers. So it's expensive. And one of the main problems of this blockchain is very slow. If you look at Bitcoin or Ethereum, that are blockchain networks, they are very slow. You can write something like 10 transactions per second. It's a very slow computer, but reading is very fast. So here on the left side, you can see the traditional or the first implementation we had for the secondary number. We use the Kamailio, as I said, mostly for users management. We have a backend for the provisioning, for number portability. We have asterisk in order to record calls or give some value-added services. And we even use CG rates to limit the number of minutes that each user is using. And the backend includes actually the product that was purchased by the user and what you can actually do. So the Kamailio can communicate with the backend in order to get this information. The client works both. If it's something that relates to the call, it uses SIP directly to the Kamailio. Provisioning on any other information, HTTP request to the backend. On the right side, you can see that what we have done, we actually replaced the backend with blockchain. We actually took this computer. It's a public computer. It's available to anyone. If you have internet, you can access it. So we took this computer and we decided to put it instead of the backend that we had. We used to have databases, we used to have whitelist, blacklist files, different kind of technologies. Now we have just a blockchain. That's the idea. Everything moved to the blockchain for the user's management. So this is something everybody here knows, SIP register. If I want to register in order to get a call, for example, then we can actually use the user password that we got that is installed on the Kamailio. And of course, it's not being exposed during the communication. It's only an hash of it with a nonce that is added for some temporary information. And this is the traditional way to do register. I think that most of the implementation that we know and we see, this is how you do it. You have the list of users on your Kamailio. But everyone can see this list. Of course, everyone that is allowed to see that. If you try to log in today or register to any new service in the internet in the last year or 2 years, you see that federated login. What's the idea? You can still use your email and password. This is like the regular register. But you also have the option to register with a provider that already exists. I can use my phone number, Google, Apple, do the registration there, and log it in. The main advantage, I don't need to keep the user password on my system. I actually take the responsibility to Google. So that's the reason that you see this kind of logins today. If we apply this to telephony, those of you that have been in FOSDEM 25 saw the demonstration about the RFC A898, which actually allows me not to store the user password locally on the Kamailio, but instead, when you ask the Kamailio, hey, I want to register, you said, I have no idea what you want from me, I don't understand with credential, ask third party. The client goes to the third party, gets or prove his credentials, get a JWT, gives this JWT to Kamailio. Kamailio goes to this third party, verifies that it's a real something that was provided by this third party, and if you get approved, you get the 200 OK, and this is how we get registration. Not every client can support this, but some clients do that. But this is a better option than a regular registration, because in this case, I don't have the user's credentials on the Kamailio. I have them somewhere else, on a third party, on a different server. How do we do authentication on Web3? So if someone bought your Bitcoin or Ethereum or uses a crypto wallet, it's a nice name to Keeper. Keeper, it's a private key and public key. It's the way you use TLS. Yes, that's actually what the crypto wallet is. So what you have to do, you have to sign with your private key in order to prove that you are who they think you are. This is your password. So what we did with Arnacon, we actually added 2 additional fields, the X-data and the X-sign. The X-data is something that we want to sign on. It's a UUID with a timestamp. We use timestamp because if I sign something, then you can take my sign-in and use it again and again, and we don't want it. So if we have a timestamp, it changes all the time. So we actually took the crypto wallet, we installed the crypto wallet inside our application, and we are actually signing this X-data. This is a sign, you can see it's encrypted. We change, it's not a standard, it's not the way it works, but we actually changed and added 2 fields in order to get a new way of registration. What actually happens is that on a con, once it's registered, the Kamailio can verify that the registration is real. If someone trying to fake it or use a wrong crypto wallet, it doesn't get this identity. We also have to go to the blockchain and see that it's a real user that bought a product and we actually paid for it. If it's a real user but he didn't pay for the product, then the provision will stop him and we shall not allow him to register. So the advantages. It's remind a little bit about the RFC 8898 when we go to a third party, but we don't need to do this trip of going to Kamailio, return, go to the third party, get approval, send to Kamailio, get third party approval. We do it straight. We give him a sign. He can take this sign, he can verify it, and he can register the user. So why do we need it? If you remember yesterday, David Duffett spoke with ID, the AI assistant, and one of the ideas was to create a fan club to Daniel. So Daniel started to work about it. He already manufacturing some merchandise in China, but he also added another service. Daniel has actually opened a service provider for the fan club of Daniel. For that, what exactly does he need? First, he needs a domain, fc.daniel. Okay, we can use this domain, fan club of Daniel. And the other thing, he needs number because he is going to provide us all with numbers. Everyone is going to have a number. We shall use this number to communicate. So in this case, I'm using the German number. So in order to create Daniel's service provider, you can buy numbers from Twilio or from an MNO, from MVNO, and connect the SIP trunk to the Kamailio that we have. And in order to manage the user, all you have to do is just add the number as a DNS, like a DNS record. On Web3, it's called ENS, it's Ethereum Name Service, because DNS, usually what it does, it takes a string and map it to an IP address. ENS takes a string and map it to a crypto wallet. Since we have a crypto wallet on our user, on a client, any calls that is going to get to this identity, to this number, we can actually ring on the device. So for Daniel, in order to create a service provider, all you have to do is buy numbers, connect the SIP trunk, and manage the users. That means that any MNO or MVNO can actually create now a secondary number service quite easily. You connect a SIP trunk, you can manage the users, the phone numbers, and you can make calls. You can actually offer a secondary number service to any user that has the Arnacon client. And by the way, the Arnacon client is going to be open source, so anyone can actually change it and use it. It's not necessarily our brand. Let's go a little to the future. We now want to move further. One of the problems that Daniel has is that Twilio are really expensive, and unless Lucas is going to give him some kind of discount, he's going to leave Twilio or leave the numbers, and he can actually use strings, names. Instead of giving us German numbers, what he can actually give us is identities or URLs or strings in his domain. Daniel FC Daniel, Amir.fc.daniel. And if I want to call someone else, I just call the string, and Kamailio can actually dial it. It's not a problem. The main advantage is that if we do not use numbers, this is all we need. So now Daniel doesn't need to buy anything for any MNO or MVNO, but he can still create the fan club. We can still communicate between us. We can deliver messages. We can make calls. Those are our phone numbers. The phone number will be actually like your email address. So who can we call? The traditional is a phone number. That's what we know that we can call. But we can call an email address. We can call an ENS, like a name, a temporary identity, any string that I can think of that is special for me or unique for me. Blue Sky user, if you know the network. But in general, any identity that I can prove that belongs to me can now become an identity on the telephony network, and I can dial this identity. That's the idea. That's the future. We don't really need numbers. Okay, we shall still use number for the next 20 years, but we have also alternatives. Some other benefits. Twilio, Lucas mentioned that they are doing load balancing using the DNS. We do not require load balancing on the DNS. The reason for that is that we do all the load balancing on the client side. The client can get a list of all the users, of all the servers, of everything that he needs in order to complete the call. So if I want a Kamailio server, I can find one in the list, walk through this Kamailio server. If it's currently down, I can select another. So load balancing is actually done on the client side. Part of the backend, and a huge part of the backend, all the user management, is actually not under our control. It's not an AWS server. We don't control it. I don't know where this big, friendly, giant computer is. It's somewhere. It's very reliable. I can work with it 24/7. It's somewhere. I'm not doing any maintenance work on that. Any upgrade, it's up to them to decide. And a very important advantage, the Kamailio server is non-persistent. You don't need any state of him. You don't need even a database. You don't need anything to be set on the configuration, because everything that you need for the configuration is on the blockchain. Some example from the application, and it's important to emphasize the application is just a demo. It's just a way to show you how it can work. You can download it on iOS or Android through the website. But the Arnocon application actually allows you multiple identities, same way that you can have multiple numbers. You can see that you can have multiple identities. Some of them are emails, ENS. It can be also a number, but it could be anything that you can prove that belongs to you. It can be a Facebook user. It even can be a Telegram user. Temporary identity, it's one of the nice things that we found out that it's easy to do with the blockchain. Let's say that I want now to leave my details on the website, online shop, and instead of giving my private phone number or my email address, which is a risk, and the risk is that someone will hack the database of the provider, and my personal details are going to leak. Now, it's a problem for the provider. It's not my problem. It's more for the provider, because for him it's a lot of money. Instead, I can use a temporary identity. In order to create a temporary identity, I'm asking for a temporary identity, select one of the options, confirm the selection. Within a minute, I get a new identity, like a new phone number. I can give this identity to the online shop, and now they can actually send messages to me. They can call me, so I don't have a problem. I got what I wanted, and from the provider point of view, from the shop, the main advantage that even if their database is being hacked, so what? There is no private data there. So GDPR is no longer a problem. What I want you to take from this presentation, it's something new. It's a different backend. It's not the traditional backend that we are working with, and even for us, it's fairly new. It's not a standard yet. It could be. Maybe it could be a model that we shall be able to add to Kamailio to do this kind of registration. But once you have that, you have new opportunities, new telephony scenarios that you can make, like the temporary number. If I want to get now a temporary number, it's very expensive. Here, a temporary number costs nothing. It's very secured, since your users are not being managed in any place that can be hacked or can be protected by you. It's somewhere on the blockchain. As long as the blockchain delivers money like Bitcoin and Ethereum and something that worth a lot than a username, then you can be quite confident that you will get the same level of security. So you have no problem with security. And we saw several presentations about the management and maintenance and what you should do if you want to scale. Here, scaling is very simple. I add a new Kamailio. Once I add a new Kamailio, he knows only the users. He knows the providers. He knows how to work, how to make a call. I don't have to do any configuration, because the Kamailio is already configured because of the blockchain, because everything is there. And of course, the most important thing, we actually saw that a real-world scenario. Daniel can actually provide his fan club with service provider, and I assume that maybe next year we shall even see that each one of you will get its own user, its own identity on Arnacon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So yeah, next year, but you can pay me now. You can start paying for the entities right now. So. Okay, so Nuno is here just to prepare for be sure the next speaker is here. It's there, okay. I have a question here.
Yes. This blockchain, I understand it can do the authentication, but what about, I also understand there are other services I have seen which can, write accounting data like CDRs to blockchain.
Yeah.
But what about the authorization, for example? And do you also, is there any way to provide authorization? This user is allowed to call this user and not this user, for example?
Yes, we call it a manifest that you can actually set and decide whether it's a private group, so only those that are in the fan club can call you or message you. You can decide that someone that doesn't have know your customer in certain level is not allowed to call you. So it can be decided. It's being decided on the client side. The call is, when we try to establish it, we check whether you want to get it or not. If you don't want to get it, it will not ring.
And how long it takes to, because with blockchain, it's always this validation or query to the blockchain. How long it takes? 1 second, 2 seconds?
Okay, that's the important issue. When you establish a call, it's only a read. Read is very fast. Okay. When you buy a product or you add a new product, then it could take a few seconds, 15, 20 seconds until the registration.
Since you could theoretically put your own Kamailio server, make with it, so could it be part of that network or would it be a separate network? And if so, how is the communication and notification between the servers handled?
Very good questions, because you can decide that you want a private Kamailio server that works with this network and it's only for your users. It's fine. But every Kamailio that you put that has the ability to communicate with our blockchain, with the contracts we actually made, they are with the software, can actually work according to these rules. So even when you add new users, you take your domain, you use this domain to add new users, but you are the only one that can control it. No one else can change your user, add a user, remove a user. This is your provisioning system. And it's publicly available, but you are the only one that can change it. It's like a DNS.
Okay, thank you. Further questions, if there are, please approach Amin. Thank you, Amin, for
Thank you.
everything.